Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to answer one of the questions that I frequently get, and that's from people who say, hey, what if I don't want to do speed work on Conjugate? Now, you have a couple different options there. People could always do kind of what I did and just run max effort days. All right, I did that for 4 months, but I did it every day, but you could do it 4 days a week. In theory, you could run that method. All right, where you do just a max effort day. So you do a 1 rep max, same thing, upper, lower. You come in and do a press 2 days, and then 1 day a squat, 1 day a deadlift variation, and then do all your supplemental work. That is an option, but that's not how they do it over at Westside. And I think what we need to remember there too is that Conjugate is really about rotating lifts on the max effort. I guess it would really be called the Westside method when we do the full thing. All right. So what they do at Westside, they oftentimes work in repetition days in between their speed work blocks. Here's how we do it with my clients. Okay, I have clients who, based upon how fast they are, their genetics, their need for training volume, who we don't do speed work. Right, we don't do speed work at all. Because I have some people who they just don't respond to speed work. Right? They genetically just don't seem to respond to speed work. It could be the fact that they don't have the mindset to approach speed work in a way to where they push as fast as they can. And then I have one client who is so explosive that I don't think he would even benefit from speed work. He is one of the most explosive lifters I've ever seen. Definitely the most explosive lifter that I work with. He's an advanced lifter. What I mean advanced? We have his squat up to 445, and it's a deep full squat. And I have his sumo deadlift up to 545 right now, and he weighs about 190. So he would represent an advanced lifter who is extremely explosive. He doesn't do speed work. We just do repetition days. All right, and then I have other clients who respond really well to speed work, and we keep it in year round. We rotate 3-week pendulum waves, and they never take it out. So here's what I would say to people who say, well, I don't want to do speed work. Well, do you have a reason for not wanting to do speed work? Because I can't say that I would advise anyone who's not extremely explosive to skip speed work. And I almost should throw in a clip of my really explosive guy for you to understand what I mean by explosive. In other words, when you grab a weight over 90%, when you grab a weight that's above 90% of your 1 rep max on a squat or a deadlift, how fast do you move that weight? Even before you hit a sticking point, like my guy who is so fast he doesn't need speed work, when he grabs a max sumo deadlift, he doesn't slow down until the last 6 inches, then he has to grind if it's a true max, right? He struggles at the lockout. But his time from the floor, when he pulls up tight and grabs a weight to jerk it off the floor, and that's an incorrect term, it's a pull, till he gets past the knees for him is maybe a third of a second, maybe a fourth of a second. Same thing, he hits his sticking point on the back squat, right, about 6 inches above parallel on a true max, and then the second that the bar starts removing again to make the last half or the top 2/3 of the squat for him on a true max, like when he sets a PR, it's approximately like a sixth of a second. It's literally like 2 frames for him to make the last 2/3 of a squat, even on a max, after he's picked speed back up. Okay, that's what I mean by fast. Now, if you're that fast, you could probably skip speed work. And even Louis Simmons would say, look, if I have someone who's strong, I make them fast. If someone who's fast, I make them strong. You train the attributes you don't have. So you could do the repetition effort if you don't want to do speed work, but I would say for a lot of guys, you might be shortchanging yourself. Keep in mind, the speed work has a lot of benefits. It's a lot of benefits. And those cannot be understated. It's not even always about the speed. There are other benefits to the setup. But failing that, you could do repetition. What does that mean? We do 5x5, 6x6s. In place of the speed work, the same exercises you would do speed work with, it could be a deep box, probably your sumo deadlifts, a deficit deadlift. All right, your bench press or bench press with different bars that you were going to do for speed work. I usually have my guys do a 6x6 or an 8x8 on the bench. Okay. We do a 5x5 box squat. Why 5x5 box squat? Because a lot of my less advanced lifters are going to be like, you make me do 5x5 box squats. And I'm not advanced. I'm not on Conjugate. It's like, yeah, that's right. That's right, I do. Why not sixes? Why not the 6x6 on the bench? Well, you can remember when we could look at Prelipin's chart, because you have to remember on those repetition days, you're going to deadlift after you. You're going to deadlift after. And it's usually going to be either 5 singles or a 5 rep set. You're just going to make them do a sumo or a deficit, depending on what we're doing at the time. But if it's a 5 rep set, I make them turn loose of the bar and regrip it for every rep. So it turns into 5 singles because they're like 5 seconds apart. They have to stand back up, reset, particularly on the sumo. All right, particularly on the sumo. You don't want people holding onto the bar for rep work on sumo. So because they're going to end up doing really the equivalent of 6 sets and with a deadlift in the end, we cut it off at 5. So why no more than 5? I never make people, unless they're doing body weight or very lightweight, fairly new to squatting, I don't make people do more than 5 reps of squats. Why? Even a box squat. Just the amount of fatigue it generates. It's hard to recover from. Right? And a 5x5 box squat is a lot of training volume for a squat. It's a lot. We don't need to go higher, because when we start going beyond 5 reps on a squat, what happens? It starts to test your cardiovascular capacity more than we're dealing with strength and muscle. If we want to do rep work, and we should be doing rep work, we can do supplemental lifts. Okay? If your quads need more rep work, we can do a hip belt squat. You could do a split squat. Right? If you need 10 reps, if you need anything more than 5, we can do these other things. We have other options. We don't need to do a back squat where we're loading ourselves axially. We don't have to do that. It's not worth it in terms of the trade-off. There's other lifts we can do to get that off the back end. But people also have to remember, for a non-novice lifter, 5s are going to be generally a relatively heavy weight. So even a 5x5. So for example, my guy who squats 445, we do like 280 for his 5x5 on the box squat. I can promise you guys right now, if you're a sub 400 pound squatter, right, you squat 375 for a 1 rep max on a back squat. If you actually do a deep box below parallel, I promise you, you're not going to do 280 for a 5x5 on a box squat. Okay? Because he struggles with it as a mid 400s squatter who has a max back squat of 425. So, but you're dealing with some very challenging, very fatiguing weight usually at that point. And going beyond a 5x5, it just becomes excessive. But even 5x5, you're getting 25 reps, and you're going to deadlift after. So that's what I have my guys do. Now, because we aren't doing the same modalities we get from the speed work, I may have them do a little more volume, or that might be their easier day. But we can do plenty of supplemental work off the backside of that. But for the benching, I mean, a 6x6 bench or an 8x8 bench is a lot of volume. Right? We don't necessarily need large amounts of volume behind that unless they can recover from it and they need it. If I have a guy who has a major chest weakness, yeah, we might do 5 sets of dumbbell benching or something after that, right? And another chest exercise. But we're not going to do too much, because if, again, five sets of that, we're now at like 11 sets for the chest. That is a lot. So at that point, I would probably have most people start doing delt and tricep work and upper back work. But, your options are there. Your options are there. You can do repetition method. But you need to make sure that it's right for you. What I tell a lot of guys, don't just say, oh, I just don't want to do speed work. Well, again, you're leaving tools with potential benefits off the table. Okay? You're losing potential benefits. So don't do it arbitrarily. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.